Welcome to the next episode of SmartAging podcast. My name is Pasi Rantanen and I will be your host today. SmartAging is European Union funded project under Interreg Baltic Sea region. Happy to collaborate with partners from Poland, Sweden, Germany and Finland. And now I have the privilege that I'm sharing the studio with Chief Enabler Mikko Ruuska from Ikigaia. Would you like to tell me a few words about your company?
Yes, I would love to. So my name is Mikko Ruuska and I have founded Ikigaia back in the 2015. And the whole purpose of the company is to enable concepts to grow. For the past 5 years, for example, we have been working very closely with European growth companies because a lot of the growth companies in EU, they struggle to scale. And there's a big discrepancy from, let's say, university-based ideas and innovations, and then again, what the actual world requires. So the commercial and the industrial requirements versus the, let's say, university ideas, many times they don't meet.
This might be a bit more tricky question as we know SmartAging as a project is about assisted living. So might be a good question. Why are we here?
That's a very good question. For us, this is not per se about assisted living. Ikigaia as a company, we want to enable solutions to mega drivers that drive the globe at the moment. So humanity, the globe, we have big areas where the world is changing and where we need solutions. So the world is in a constant change, and as company Ikigaia wants to be part of enabling and finding solutions to big problems, big challenges that globe is facing. And when we talk about assisted living, it's basically in the core of what we do. So for example, Ikigaia has been doing a lot of work on finding more sustainable materials, more sustainable solutions, how to improve recycling. But when we talk about assisted living, the core behind is actually that the world is aging. So in Western countries, in Asia, a lot of the people, the populace, they are aging and they want to age with dignity. And at the same time, the technology is evolving fast. And Ikigaia already at its name, we have been always inspired by these 100-year-old people living in Japan, eating sushi and having communal sports and doing meaningful things. And that's always been in the core of our ethos, that we want to make sure that we can enable in the Western world, elsewhere, solutions that can provide the dignified living for the elderly.
If we talk about dignified living and growing older, finding ourselves in assisted living faculties or something like that, I would like to see craft beer. I would like to see that I'm not the only one with piercings and tattoos. So how do you see it? Should everything be still the same like it's now and everything is out of the same mold or something?
No, I mean that's the whole point of this project, smart aging. How can we make solutions that can be implemented into the assisted living so that we can have fun, we can feel like part of the community, we can live like human beings, and we can stay healthy, we can stay active, we can do gardening whilst we are still older. And yes, we can have craft beer, but at the same time, I would love to see that the technology can be implemented in a way that it makes life meaningful and fun.
In assisted living, as we know, the personal space is basically like it has been for your life all the time.
Hmm.
But if we think about community and what it can provide for all the people that actually live in these faculties, can we create something joint?
Yes, we can. And look, I believe that this works in many levels. When we talk about meaningfulness, when we talk about connectedness, I believe very strongly that one of the biggest fears, if I would be 30 years, 40 years older than I am now, one of my biggest fears would be that I'm forgotten. I'm not part of the society anymore. I don't have any use. I'm not doing anything meaningful. And I think at the same time, this is one of the things that we should be solving. That elderly people, they feel that they are part of something. And the way I see it, that again, it works on multiple levels. One of the things that I would love to see is that can we create environments where the elderly people, even if they live in the assisted living, they still have the connection for, let's say, young people. That, for example, there is kindergarten next to the assisted living
Like in
home.
Netherlands, for example.
Exactly. And or in like in Singapore, they actually have the communities where the young people, the old people live together. They even do activities together. Uh, but at the same time, they're connected to the nature. So even when you're living in the assisted living home, that the home has elements from the nature. It could have elements already in the rooms that bring the greenery or the connection to the nature. A lot of sunlight, for example.
I would take my chili with me.
Please do take your chilies with you. But at the same time, as ikigai, or the meaning of the life, as the Japanese say, where it actually comes from is that you have the community. And I believe this should be the strong key. How can we solve that? That even when you're living in the assisted living homes, that you have the community of like-minded people around you and you can do the meaningful things with them.
Let's play with future and let's say there is no boundaries. Take 40 years from now, we have AI, we have 3D printing, we have flying whatever cows or something. So, what would be the kind of meaningful, perfect solution on a place for you 40 years from now?
Well, this is a very good question because I don't think we need to even go 40 years from now. If we talk about meaningfulness and life, I think people have certain basic needs. People want to do something with their hands, or if they are not able to make stuff with their hands, they want to create. They want to create meaningful things. Whether it's cooking, whether it's growing your own food, whether it's creating new items, new designs, this is something that I would love to see already now. That creating the meaningfulness. For example, in the assisted living homes, you could quite easily already now have 3D printers combined with AI design tools, for example. You can create your new things being inspired, or you can create art by hand or by, let's say, having AI painting your things or creating music, for example. And when we talk about food, right now you could easily have meaningful making your own plantations, for example, growing your own food. But for example, in the future, it can be something else, creating it with some new technologies. But creating meaning, arts, music, love, food, being meaningful, being inspired.
Of course, this is just the beginning of the project itself. But unfortunately, as we know, there's a kind of bad reputation about public R&D funding and a project. It's kind of comes and goes and nobody remembers anything. But how do you see it? Can we do something that actually stays alive and remains after the project is done?
Oh, for sure. This is a perfect opportunity to make a perfect storm, to make a ruckus in a way. Assisted living as a term, I think it's completely misunderstood. I think it's perfectly misunderstood. People don't like to get old, but people want to be inspired by being old. People want to actually be inspired that we can actually make living better even when you're 70s, 80s years old. So what I want to get out of this project is not that we create a project with mandatory results. I actually want to make something that inspires people, that makes headlines, that can even transform the change or create change, create change in thinking that actually, yes, this is the way we should go towards. That people should be, when they're in their 70s, 80s, they should be making meaningful things. They should be living a good life when they are there. And we should be providing those tools and the inspiration for that.
This will be our final question, but if you think about listening to these podcasts 3 years from now, when the project is done, we have achieved maybe something, but is there something special that you would like to see after 3 years, like a result, a product, a movement, or something?
Well, movement is a big term, but I think that's the direction where we want to take people towards. When we talk about movement, I'd like this project to create a shift, at least a small shift on thinking. Basically, I would love to see after 3 years, when we are looking through the results, that at least somebody says that, man, I can't wait to get old. I want to go to those homes already.
Thank you for listening to SmartAging podcast. We hope you will follow us on social media, our website, and listen to future podcasts as well. Thank you for joining.